Hi, my name is Chongo, and I'd like to welcome all of you to Anono Wellness. And if you're okay with it,
let's go.
We can go. Perfect. So, hi, everybody. My name is Chongo, and this is the Culture Meets Wellness podcast, where we are talking about cultural barriers to wellness. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest. She is an entrepreneur and mentor and a keynote speaker, and she's known for being the founder and CEO of KinkyCurlyYaki, which is a company that sells texturized hair extensions for Black women. So with that, I will introduce you all to Vivian Kaye.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be talking to you right now.
I'm excited to speak to you too. Thank you for having me.
Oh, so to get started, let's just talk a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so officially I am Vivian Kaye. I am the founder and CEO of KinkyCurlyYaki. Like you said, it's textured hair extensions for Black women. It's a business that I started back in 2012 when I was looking to solve my own problem. I needed hair that looked like mine. And what I found was when I went to websites, it was usually buried under the Malaysian and Brazilian, all those silkier textures. And so then at the time I was already running a business and I was a wedding decorator. And I was, again, trying to solve my own problem. I found some hair. I really liked it. I wore it to a Black girl meetup. And a girl asked me who my hairdresser was and what my regimen was to take care of my hair. And I was like, girl, this is a weave. And she was like, wow, I would buy that. And so then that's when the light bulb went off. So in the down season of my wedding business, I launched KinkyCurlyYaki in December of 2012, and it immediately took off. So before COVID, it was a business. It was a business that was doing over $1 million in annual revenue. And I created this business from scratch. I'm an immigrant. I'm from Ghana. I'm a college dropout. I'm a single mother. I'm basically all the things my parents didn't bring me to this country to do.
Yeah. I know that.
but I turned lemons into lemonade with a shot of bourbon, and it made it a thing.
The shot is the key part.
The shot is the key part.
That's what makes it unique. For sure. That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about starting your first business. How did that kind of go? So that was Vivian's Decor and Designs, right?
Right.
So what kind of brought you to the point where you started that?
I'm one of those people who just sort of, I jump off cliffs and figure out how to land and open my parachute on the way down.
Oh my goodness.
So what it was that I have 3 sisters and I'm the second one.
Okay.
And my older sister was getting married. And at the time she had hired a decorator and the decorator said she would decorate her wedding for, I don't know, say $2,000. So fine, she pays her a deposit. 2 weeks before the wedding, the decorator says, oh, I'm going to need another $1,000. But she doesn't have any sort of reasoning behind needing more money. And so then we ended up having to fire her and find another decorator that could just do what we needed. And the person that we hired, did a craptastic job. And so then after that, I thought, wow, why aren't, and this is because we hired, I'm from Ghana, like I said, so we were looking at, the decorator was in the Ghanaian community. So, we just tend to use other Ghanaian, a caterer, decorator, that type of thing. And I was like, there's no Ghanaian decorators that are doing what they say they're going to do. They say, I'm going to charge you $2,000 and they're doing the things that they said that they're going to do. No one was doing it or running their business like white people. Right? Basically.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I think I can do that. I know white people really well. They lay things out. They charge you what they say they're going to do. Yes. And so then I set out to do decor. But then what I quickly realized is that no one in the Ghanaian community wanted to pay me my worth. So then I expanded the business outside of my community and I found success there because, Toronto is a diverse community and everybody gets married, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing everyone's wedding from, Southeast Asian to, to Chinese, to the Lebanese and Middle East and the Ghanaian, Africans, Caribbeans. I was doing Italians, everyone's weddings. Wow. So, and it was something that I literally made it up as I was going along. So I just started slow. and I started
Mm-hmm.
small. So what I did was I would hire one, I would rent some of the stuff that I needed, and it turns out that they would do decor as well. So I would hire them. So
Mm-hmm.
I would do all the marketing, and I would, meet with the
Oh,
brides, and then I would hire them to do the job, and I would watch how they did it. So then as I
okay.
learned and figured out, okay, well, I could do it better if I did it this way. And if I could add more color, and then I created packages. So I created what I would call simple but beautiful. Because what a lot of people would get caught up in is, oh, I want to spend, $5,000 on my centerpieces. And it's like, girl, do you remember what the centerpieces looked like on the last wedding you went to? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you remember they were pretty, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let people remember they were pretty, but you're not going to spend your mortgage down payment on centerpieces.
No.
Right. So that's what I set out to do. And I did a really good job at it. I loved it. I ran that business for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sunsetted it after I had my son, and KinkyCurlyYaki had taken off. So,
Um,
yeah. So yeah, it was great.
do you
I miss
ever
it
miss?
sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you miss running it?
I do, to an extent. I wouldn't, if I'm glad, because like if I had a
Yeah,
wedding business now, I'd be in big trouble. Because
that's very
everyone's
true.
canceling. Like if you guys are listening to this at a later point, right now we're in the midst of, social distancing and quarantine. So basically any
Mm-hmm.
event I would say through to the end of August is basically canceled, which is pretty much wedding season.
Yeah.
So a lot of those businesses are devastated, because their livelihood has gone away.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who was just telling me she had 4 weddings this summer, all
Mhm.
canceled.
All
So
canceled. Yeah.
it's a
And
rough
it's
time.
devastating for the businesses, and it's devastating for the couples who've been, all this money and time, planning it.
Yeah, exactly. No worries.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, just a bit, but it's fine.
Yeah. It's okay. I need to turn off I just need to turn off my notifications. Here we go.
Oh, no worries at all.
So we'll do it from 12. There we go. And my phone, I forgot to mute my phone.
Oh, that's fine. My phone is forever off mute. Like it's always on, and I'm like, why are you going off at these times?
Why is it not going off? Okay. Well, that should do it. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. So the one thing that came up like while you were describing all of that is I can tell you're a very entrepreneurial person. Um, as people, someone like me, like I'm like entrepreneurship, it's always been very interesting to me. And I know for a lot of people right now, they're starting to look into it or they're thinking about it. How do you kind of take that leap? Like, I know you mentioned you're the kind of person to just jump, but like,
Mm-hmm.
do you ever get scared? Like, do you ever get nervous doing it? And do you ever think like, what if this fails? Like with both of
Uh,
your businesses?
well, that's the thing. That's the chance that you have to take. So
Mhm.
for me, it's like, do I really want to go through life wishing I had done something, or can I go through life doing it, failing, or have that chance of success? So I would rather go for that 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because I don't like gambling in other areas. Like I actually don't like gambling. Like I will go to the casino with $20 and that's all I'm spending.
Yeah, I hate
But
gambling.
but if I could jump at the chance of being an entrepreneur, I have a 50% chance of succeeding. Or it's not even 50-50. It really depends on how much work and effort you're willing to put into it. Now, if you come into entrepreneurship thinking that you're going to spend your time on a beach with a laptop, girl, I'm sorry. This is not
No.
that is not how it's done. And if it
Yeah.
is done that way, it's not a sustainable way of living. Of running a business. So it's a lot of hard work. I've never been afraid of hard work, and I love the autonomy. I've always been, and it's actually funny because all the jobs that I realized that I've had leading up to being an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur now for 14 years.
Wow.
I've been a full-time entrepreneur for a decade now. So, but all the jobs I had was basically building me up for this. So I would be either like the only bilingual person that worked in the department, so I was always working by myself, or I was a one-person marketing department. Like I was always in those sorts of positions where I wasn't really part of a team. I was left to my own devices. So in doing that of course makes sense for me to be an entrepreneur. So I don't know. It's funny. I've always been an entrepreneur, or sorry, not that I've never been not that I've always been an entrepreneur, because when I was in high school, being an entrepreneur was for people who couldn't get jobs. Right?
Okay.
Like it wasn't as sexy as it was now. Because you said
Yeah.
you were 24. I'm 42. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge, like, there's a
Like
huge
everybody
push.
wants to. Yeah.
There's a huge push towards being an entrepreneur, where it wasn't like that for me 20 years ago or
Mm-hmm.
25 years ago, right? So, but no, I love it. I can't see myself doing anything else. And even if I was to take a job, it would have to be a job where I could still be left up to my own devices, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can still do
Yeah.
whatever, Vivian needs to do. And I just need to check in with whoever, every once in a while. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. And you know what? I think the big difference between it and something like gambling is like, I feel like with gambling, that's just like, I mean, there's a few games where it's up to you, but I feel like a lot of it's just up to chance. Like you really just don't have an impact on it. But like
Yes.
with entrepreneurship, like obviously there is that element of like of luck that's
Hmm.
involved and like that element of risk, but a lot of it is what you put into it, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's the
Exactly.
difference. Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. So my next question for you is basically, would you be interested in playing a little game with me?
Oh, I love games.
Okay, so I've got
All right.
I've got two games scheduled throughout this interview. So the first one is right now and it's a little bit less involved. The second one's a
Okay.
little bit more fun. So
Okay.
for
Okay. Go.
this perfect. So for this one what we're going to do is a little wellness challenge, okay? And
Okay.
it's to prep us for the wellness talk that we're going to have in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
So basically what I'm going to do is tell you a word and it's associated with wellness and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay. So wellness.
My well-being, like my general aura, energy.
Love energy. I love that word. Poetry.
Words set to song. Oh, that's not what poetry is, but that's what it is to me.
That's so beautiful though. Wow. Mental health.
My peace.
Music.
Oh, makes me high.
Ooh, I love that. I could tell just by that reaction. Yoga.
Ah, it has its place. I'm not a huge fan, but I can see why people like it.
Okay. There's something for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Dance.
Oh, love it. Like, boogie yourself down to the ground if you can.
Right, especially at home alone when no one's
Mm-hmm.
looking.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best time.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, meditation.
Serenity.
That's nice.
Serenity.
I like that.
Yes, peace.
Those are some good answers. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So perfect. So now we're getting into our next kind of phase of the interview, which is all about culture and cultural background. Okay. So would you be interested in telling us a little bit about you and your cultural background, where you're from, and kind of your experience with how integrated you feel with that cultural background?
Yeah, so I was born in Ghana. So I came to Canada with my mom in her lap. So I would say I'm basically Canadian. But I have a strong cultural background, obviously from Ghana in West Africa. So, growing up, my parents spoke the languages, but it was funny because my mom specifically, my dad was fine, but my mom specifically, she learned her English from us. So she would speak to us in the language and we would reply back in English so she could learn English, right? So it was a good and bad thing because I understand the language, but I don't speak it. But that's only because also, I don't know about you. Where are you from?
I'm from Zambia.
You're from Zambia. So I don't know if Zambians do this, but I know Ghanaians do this. And we really, actually, West Africans do it a lot. I bet you it's just Africans, period, that do it. And we need to stop doing this where, this is, of course, my generation, but what they would do is if you would speak the language, but you spoke it with the Canadian accent, they would insult you. If you weren't pronouncing something correctly, they would insult you. And it's like, well, and then they wonder why their grandchildren don't speak the language. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
You insulted me when I was younger, so now I'm too shy to speak. Right?
Where am I supposed to get the motivation to do this from?
Right? Yeah. But you see other cultures where they didn't shy away. They taught their children their languages. It was like, I guess it's because they didn't want that extra. We already had the stigma of being Black. And then on top of that, we're Black and we speak a different language. So let's just pick one. Let's just pick one. Let's pick one battle. And the battle they chose to, we had to choose was the Black one. So But other than that, I always encourage other, especially when I see people who are first gen that are, not first generation, but just come from Africa,
Yeah.
teach your children the language. Screw everybody else. If they can learn to pronounce Mohammed and Tchaikovsky and Michelangelo, they can learn to pronounce Chongo. They can learn to pronounce Akpene. They can pronounce your name. Let them learn.
And that's actually really interesting that you say that, because I'm actually really passionate about that now, because I don't speak my language for that reason. My parents just thought, they were like, it's too difficult, whatever. We're not going to teach it to her. But I actually get really sad because I have friends who speak Arabic, right? And I just see them being able to speak it to their families. And like, there's so much culture tied in with that. And like, there's like closeness that you feel when you can speak it. And it's something that I feel like I didn't get. And my younger sister, it's the same way. So I'm like, if you can speak and if you can pass that on, like your children will appreciate it so much at some point.
They may not appreciate, exactly, at some point. They may not appreciate it now. And I'm sure that's like all children, like, know, but eventually when they get into their 20s and 30s, they'll be happy that they know that language, right? So yeah.
And did you ever, so kind of on that same topic, like, did you ever kind of struggle? Like, was there ever a point, especially being first gen, where you were like, okay, this is how things are here, and this is how they are at home, and then this is like, where do I fit in all of this?
No, I wasn't really struggle, to be honest.
Really?
Only because I guess I never had a problem with it because I always marched to the beat of my own drum. So I was always if you don't like it, that is not my problem. Right. So there was never any real struggle. If anything, the struggle was more not cultural, but it was more, I want to say class. Class was more of a struggle because, my parents came from the village, and then coming here, I went to French immersion. So it was a different class of people. So, at the time, the people who sent their children to French immersion had money. Right. Yeah. So for me, it was more the money struggle as opposed to the cultural struggle.
Yeah, I guess I see that. And it's also just, I don't know about you, but I know with us, like, it doesn't matter what financial status we're in, we're going to go for a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like that. So it's,
Yeah.
it's that mentality too, right? So like, there are certain things where it's like, I'm not going to be wasteful in this sense that it might not be the same. You might not experience that here, like with people who grew up in a different culture, right? Or a different,
or when they try to pull those they try to pull those stunts on the people, and it's like, Mom, we can't do that here.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, oh, that ain't gonna fly.
Yeah. Mom, you can't go to Bargain Harold's and try to get them to bargain it down.
No. It's like, gotta stop this. And it's and you're just sitting there like trying to hide your face, like, please don't. Yeah, we've all had those experiences. Awesome. So my next question for you is a little bit more focused on wellness. We just played a little game associated with it. And I brought up a bunch of different words that different people can use to kind of explain what wellness means to them. But my question for you is, what does wellness mean to you?
Wellness to me is having my peace of mind. So whether that be just, I don't even know how to describe it. And it's hard to describe now because right now we're in a really interesting time, again, with the COVID and the social distancing. So it's like, I feel like my mental wellness is like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to describe it now because it's just, things are just so different. But if I had to describe wellness, yes, I would describe it as my peace. I would describe it as my tranquility. I would describe it as me being able to be me. So to be able to express myself, to be able to communicate and not feel the need to shy away from it or the need to hide it. So I think that's what wellness would mean to me.
And with this time, like with COVID-19 and everything, has it brought wellness? Like, have you been thinking more about wellness, or have you started to kind of view it in a different way at all?
No, I think right now I feel like we're sort of in this survivor mode.
Yeah.
Like it's like, so peace is just sort of like a very different thing now.
Yeah.
Because it's not like now you can only reach out to people via video conferencing or FaceTime or phone. Whereas before, it's like earlier I struggled because I realized that I was like, I'm the strong friend.
Yeah. Right?
Oh yeah. I'm the strong friend. And, nobody was checking for me. Right. But then during normal times, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
right? But
exactly.
during this time, I struggled with it. And I found myself needing a hug. Like I just needed a hug. And I needed a hug from someone that would tell me everything is going to be all right and everything will be okay. But normally I'm that person for everyone, but no one was able to do it for me. So I struggled with that for a little bit. I still struggle with it. You know, I have my days, but today I dressed up, put on my wig, put on my good bra, and, you know, put on some lipstick.
You know, those are all the key things. You need them.
Those are all the key things: a good wig, some lipstick, and a good bra.
Yeah.
And I feel good today. Yesterday, not so much, but it is what it is. Like, this is unprecedented. There's no right or wrong way to act right now. So it's been an interesting period. It's been an interesting period. And I'm glad I haven't fallen apart. That's the one good thing. I'm surprised.
Right. And you know what? I think that's an experience that a lot of people share right now, right? Like, you're right. It's unprecedented times, right? Like, at least for us, with at least what I've been through, what a lot of us have been through, it's just no one really knows how to act right now. And I think it's actually been interesting to watch my strong friends. I actually identify as a strong friend as well. So it's been interesting to even observe for myself, like, how I've been handling this, because whenever like I do feel off, I'm like, this is so weird. Like, I'm not used to feeling off. Like, I'm the one who usually like helps other people out. Right. And it's tough because at the same time, people are probably relying on you to kind of help them through this time too. So it's like, how do I show up for people? But then what is going on with me? And I think like the one thing you said is like, it is what it is so important, because like, sometimes you just got to sit in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes like, I think that's a very normal thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I feel horrible and nothing I'm doing is working. But one thing I try to talk about on this page a lot is that like, sometimes with wellness and with like self-care and everything, you're not always going to feel amazing afterwards, but sometimes that's okay. Like, we go through so many moods in a day. Like you said, yesterday wasn't so great for you, but today you're like, hey, you know, I'm showing up and I can see it, right? Like I see it like radiating off of you. So it's just important to remember, like, this is just a weird wave we're on, and like, we're all just trying to figure it out.
We're all just trying to figure out this new normal, and it's not, this is not normal.
No, it's not.
Not normal.
It's not.
So for you to expect yourself to conduct yourself as if things are normal.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, cool. But just remember, this is not normal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, don't beat yourself up over it. You know, like I woke up at like 11:30 the other day, like AM, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Like,
where are you going?
Normal time. Yeah. My kitchen. That's where I'm going.
Your kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I have our second game that I want us to play. So this one is a little bit more involved, and what I want us to do is kind of act out a wellness activity. Okay? So basically how it's going to work is you're going to think of a wellness activity, and then you're going to act it out, and I'm going to try to guess it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll start off just to kind of like, you know, ease the ease the playing field. So for mine, what I will do is a little
yoga.
Perfect. You got it.
Okay.
Your turn. Okay. I took the easy one. Music, dancing, clubbing.
No, music.
Music.
It's music.
For sure. Yeah, clubbing's a little much.
Let's see. So this is wellness?
But wellness, like one thing I love with this is wellness can be anything.
So here's one of the things that I do. But, oh wait, you can't see. Oh, I have to mime it out, right? Okay.
Oh my God, I feel like you're peeling something. Money? Giving money? Charities.
Oh, no.
Donating.
Do I still do it until you guess what it is?
Oh my God. Okay, you know what? We're going to give this 5 more seconds. Counting money. Oh, really? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So I have here, I have stacks of prop money. Oh, so I have here $1.1 million in prop money.
Okay.
So what I do is I use it for manifestation purposes, and I use it to sometimes calm my anxiety while I'm at my office. So if something's going wrong, or if I'm on hold, like something's not working, and I start to feel frustration, I use it to calm myself down. So I'll just count. I'll just count the money.
Wow.
I'll just count the money, and it'll make me feel better because I'm focused on, doing that. That's because it's the one thing I can control in that moment, right? I can control how I feel. So I count stacks just to help calm myself down. The second purpose is to manifest money. Now, I know it sounds crazy, not crazy, but it sounds weird. It sounds like, oh, you're just greedy or whatever. But no, I grew up with a really interesting, and I'm sure this happens with especially a lot of Africans and a lot of women. We have a very different money mindset where I feel like large amounts of money aren't meant for me. And especially in this digital age where you don't really get to see money anymore, I was not okay. I wanted to be okay with asking for what I deserve, what I'm worth. And so then by having an obnoxious amount of money hanging around, it encourages that because it's now normal to me. It's my new normal, right? Yeah. So I use it to manifest money in my life because I do good things, so I deserve to be paid for it, and to help calm myself down in moments where I'm feeling anxious. So.
Wow, that's amazing, because that's kind of like two forms of wellness, right? Something I always try to tell people is that self-care, it can be whatever you want it to be, right? It can be tailored towards you. Like something as simple as counting money is very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Right? And it's almost a form of meditation, which is really interesting to think about. It is, right? Like you wouldn't think about it like that. And I think the money topic is really important as well, because I notice a lot of people, especially a lot of really humble people, and if you've been raised in a way which is very humble, which is very
humble yourself
as well. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, but it's also like de-humble a little bit. It's like, no, you're doing like work of value. And it's like, sometimes you just got to throw yourself in that uncomfortable position. Even just things like paying yourself can be so hard for people, right? Like I'm sure you've probably experienced that with being an entrepreneur. Just that first paycheck is just like, ugh. So it's important to make yourself comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is it okay if I get you to do one more thing?
One more?
Yes. Love it. Sleeping.
Yeah. That's the most, I think that's the most underrated form of self-care, because sometimes it's like, girl, you just need to go take a nap.
You know what?
Sometimes go to sleep.
Because when you don't sleep, that's when the whole day is so much worse, right? Like
that was yesterday. That was me yesterday. I during this whole COVID thing, I haven't really been sleeping well, or I've been going to sleep at 3:00 in the morning. Yeah. And then my son wakes me up at 8:00, or he's doing this. One of the things that happened was I trained him to sleep in his own bed before COVID, and now the COVID just burned the whole thing. Yeah. Right. So now I'm not getting good sleep because my son's coming into my bed and he's kicking me and I'm sleeping on the edge and, that type of thing. So yesterday was just like a culmination where I was just terrible because I hadn't slept. So then I made it a point to go to bed early tonight, made it a point to threaten my son. You have to stay in your bed. You have to stay in your bed. If you want mommy to be happy tomorrow, you have to stay in your bed. Mm-hmm. So he stayed in his bed and I woke up great. I felt so much better. And I apologize to all the people that I was mean to yesterday because I was tired.
Right. But you know what? We've all had those moments. And also, this is a time where I think we can justify a little bit of it. I'm always like, I take everything with a grain of salt these days. I'm like,
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for participating in that.
You're absolutely welcome.
Awesome. So for our last little portion of this interview, this is where I really want to talk to you about your specific experience with wellness. So on your website and just in general, in some of your interviews, you've actually mentioned that when you were younger, you dropped out of school and you battled some depression in your early adulthood years. Mm-hmm. And in general, just as an entrepreneur, as we all know, there's a lot of pressure to work. So that coupled in with just like life experience, like what's your experience with wellness been? And do you feel that with your values that you were raised with and just like with like immigrant culture in general, do you think that's impacted how wellness was perceived by you when you were young?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, mental health is something that is shunned upon. Like, if you're depressed, then, just go and, go pray to God, or go to church, or, go over there and be quiet about it. You don't have to tell everybody. Why does everybody have to know your business type thing? So that's the type of, environment that I grew up in. So yeah, I struggled with depression in my early adulthood, and also as recently as in the last few years. Even still now and then, I still struggle with depression. But the difference between now and before is I'm able to recognize the signs of, okay, Vivian, you're about to go into a tailspin. And so then I know what to do to soften the blow. So if it's things like, Vivian, just take a minute for yourself and realize that it's okay to not be okay, right? One of the things that I also realized was, not, along the same lines as being okay, to not be okay, was I realized that before I would take the feelings and stuff it into like my back pocket. Okay, I'll just deal with that later, stuff it into my purse. And then I started running out of places to stuff it in. Right.
And it comes out.
And then it comes out. Right. And so then I realized, okay, so I need to stop stuffing it in pockets. I need to deal with it now so that I can get through it and then come out the other side. So, yeah, I struggled with deep depression, and I know how to manage it. So I encourage everyone, if you are not okay, tell somebody you're not okay. But make sure you're telling the right people. Don't just tell anybody.
Yeah.
All right? Because not everybody is prepared or even set up to help you in that way. I would seek out professional help. There's nothing wrong with seeing a psychiatrist, a therapist, or any of those things. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let your mom or your dad guilt you into doing that. If church isn't your thing, then church isn't your thing. That's fine too. You can still believe in God and get therapy. So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, it's for me, I've been very open about it. At first I was ashamed about it, but then I realized, well, keeping all this information to myself isn't going to help anybody, right? I don't want anyone to think that being an entrepreneur is all roses and and confetti. It can be really shitty. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear.
No, you can swear. It's fine.
It's really shitty, but what you need to do is you need to learn how to turn that shit into manure, right? Because manure, if you think about it, manure helps plants thrive and grow, and it nourishes it, right? So if you think of the shit that you're going through as manure, it's only going to make you stronger. It's only going to make you thrive and grow. So you got to think of all the shit that we're going through as manure, because we're just going to come out bigger, better, and stronger.
Exactly. And it's not something that should be hidden, right?
No, don't hide it. It just makes it even worse.
It does. And you know what? I once had a therapist tell me that your body just finds different ways to like release something. Like if you try to like ignore it, it'll do something more extreme until you finally address it. So it's like, it's that understanding that like, it's okay to let it go.
Yeah, it's okay to let it go.
What was the point when you kind of realized that? Like, was it something that you just realized on your own, or did something, like if you're comfortable with answering, did something have to happen for you to come to the realization that it's okay to let this out? It's not, I shouldn't be ashamed of this.
I have a child. And what I really didn't want to do was show him the wrong way to deal with your emotions. Right. So, because I learned how to put stuff into my pockets and into my purse from my parents. They didn't teach me how to manage my emotions and how to manage, all that. So I wanted to show my son how you can do it. So, to show him that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be frustrated, but you got to work through it and then deal with it and then come out the other side. So it was my son. Yeah. Because if I was by myself, I probably would still be depressed, because who else is going to motivate me out of it, right?
Yeah. And kids can pick up on that stuff too, right?
Absolutely.
They can tell.
Kids are way smarter than you think they are.
And it's been proven time and time again. And that was actually going to be my next question, was raising, like, how are you going about raising your child in a way that mental health and wellness and self-care integrated?
Like I make sure to ask him questions. Like even like the
Yeah.
other day, I asked him, like how like, it's just him and I. So I'm a single mom, and it's just my
Hmm.
son who's 6. And so then I said, well, baby, like how do you feel?
Yeah.
Like about like how do you feel? He's like he misses his friends, he misses his teachers, he misses his
Yeah.
cousins, and I have to explain to him. I'm like, I understand. I feel the same way too, and to let him know that it's okay that he feels this way.
Yeah.
I try to do my best to help distract him, and I realize that my son is very. I mean, I knew this before, but I'm really seeing it now that 24/7.
Yeah.
But I understand what his love language is, and I know it sounds silly
Oh
for a
no.
kid, but
Yeah.
kids have a love language, and his is physical touch.
Really?
So yeah, his is physical touch. And so he's always, he needs to be reassured by me touching him, or he's touching me,
Hmm.
that type of thing. So I make it a point to go extra on that. Even though for me, physical touch is not my love language.
Yeah. No,
Mine
I don't like
is,
it
yeah,
either.
no, mine is acts of service, right?
Hmm.
So, I get him to do those things for me. So it's like, okay, boo boo, can you go upstairs and take out the garbage for mom? Come and bring the garbage down from the bathroom. And
Yeah.
and that's, to me, that's great. Don't touch me, but go do something for me.
No, I get it's actually funny because that's my number one is acts of service and my number 5 is physical touch.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
mine is
Yeah.
gifts, because it's like, no. My number one is acts of service. Number 2 is words of affirmation. So
Yeah. I like
yeah,
quality time too. Hmm.
yeah, mine's like, that's like number 3 or something.
Yeah, yeah. The stuff in the middle, I'm just like what's the
Yeah,
top
yeah,
and what's the
whatever.
bottom? Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
give or take.
No, but that's so important. And it's funny because like for anybody who are parents, like it seems really simple, right? Just asking them how they're feeling. But
Hmm.
especially I'm very passionate about men and mental health and emotional intelligence. Just getting them to talk about how they feel and normalizing that, like the benefits of it in the long run are just like so
Hmm.
deep. Because I know so many people who just can't talk. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, or they
yeah.
can't say how they're feeling, and they just all they know is to keep it in, right?
Hmm.
And you never
No,
know what that can
I
be.
teach him. No, I want him to be. I want to bring him up as as emotionally as intelligent as possible,
Yeah,
so he can communicate and let me know how he feels, and not feel a ways for feeling the way he feels. Right? It's okay if you're not
exactly.
okay. It's okay to be happy too. Yeah.
Exactly. So my last question for you is, what are a few of the things that you like to do, whether it's super wellness related or whether it's just things you like to do to have fun? Like what do you
Karaoke
do
is
to
my
take it?
jam.
Yeah.
Karaoke? Oh my gosh, that's the one thing I miss.
Yeah.
That's the one thing
Oh
I'm really missing
yeah.
right now. I love to I can't sing for shit, but I love the expression of emotion and the just, yes, I love karaoke.
Yeah, there's just something that goes through you, especially if you're a musically, like if you're somebody who just likes to listen to music, you like to feel it, if you get happiness from it, like being able to just like shout
Yeah,
to a
just
song
being
you
able
love.
to a song you love, and everyone singing along with you, and it's for me, it's euphoric. I love it. Like,
Yeah.
music makes me high.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, are you drunk?" No, I do not need alcohol. I just need the right music. The
Oh
right
yeah.
music will just send me off. So yeah, that's the one thing that I really truly enjoy.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to the day when we can all leave and outside opens again and we can
Oh, I know. Outside
yeah.
opens again.
I've been seeing people joke about stuff like that
Oh,
online. I find
yeah.
it so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. And the one last thing I will say, is there any last message that you'd like to leave for listeners, whether it's related to business, mental health, anything?
Um, I would say, like, I'm assuming that probably a lot of your listeners are probably, your age,
Yeah,
younger. I would say, girl, be yourself, because there is no one else that can be you, and we need you to be you. So don't be afraid to be your most authentic self. So whether that's weird or prissy or tomboy or whatever it is, just don't be afraid to be yourself, because what you don't want to do is hit my age in your 40s and regret living a life that you could have lived because you were too busy being caught up in what everyone else thinks. Because truthfully, no one gives a rat's ass about you. And what I mean is that
yeah.
nobody's thinking about you like that. So you might as well just show up as yourself. And if they don't like it, they can go kick rocks with an open toe shoe. Done.
Wow.